I was at a friend's house who were having a dinner party, and there was someone there who had just come out of Berlini prison, having served a sentence there. And someone had shared the Bible with him, and he became a Christian. And I had never heard the likes of his testimony before. It was the first time I had come across that transformation in someone's life. And I knew then that if God could change this man, he could change anyone. And that lit something within me at 18 years of age that has never really gone out. For the last 12 and a half years, I worked as the full-time chaplain in HMP Shotts. I would say they're by far the most fulfilling and most rewarding years of my working life. What I did as a chaplain basically was to offer pastoral care. I did a lot of one-to-one counselling work with prisoners, as well as provide a service of worship each week for anyone who may want to come along. The one thing when I started and was working full-time in the prison that I really had to revisit in my own life was my whole understanding of grace and what grace was. Because in my head, I knew what the Bible taught about grace, but in my heart, I really had to do a work there, because here I was working with Scotland's worst criminals in Shotts prison. And the Bible tells me that anyone who calls on the Lord will be saved. And I had to sit down and say, do I really believe that? Do I really believe that these men who have committed the most heinous crimes, if they call on the Lord, they will be saved in the same way that I called on the Lord and I was saved? Quite often when I was speaking to people, there would be a lot of opposition. They would say, well, why are you working in there? They're beyond help. And I had to be able to say, no, they're not. They are not out with God's grace if they call on Him. The Bible assures us that they will be saved. So this is a verse that has really sustained me over the years of ministry, and they're found in 1 Thessalonians chapter 2 and verse 17, and it's Paul writing to the church in Thessalonica. And he said, "But brothers, when we were torn away from you for a short time, in person but not in thought, out of our intense longing, we made every effort to see you, for we wanted to come to you. Certainly, I, Paul, did again and again, but Satan stopped us. For what is our hope, our joy, or the crown in which we will glory in the presence of our Lord Jesus when He comes? Is it not you? Indeed, you are our glory and joy." And for me, that is what has sustained me, that working with these men and being able to share the Bible with them and having their lives transformed, I will see them again. And so they are my joy and my crown, that we will meet again when Jesus returns. There was an occasion, I remember, the first time we ever ran Christianity Explored in the prison. And myself and my colleague who worked part-time, we were sitting around a table with maybe about 8 or 9 men, and we were going through Mark's Gospel, and we were encouraging them to read a section of it, and then we were going to discuss the passage. And this man read out the passage. And then as the others were all discussing, I was very conscious that he wasn't taking part in the discussion. And I was kind of looking at my colleague, and he was looking at me, and we're thinking, what's going on? But it turned out that he was engrossed in Mark's Gospel. And he just kept reading the pages. And then eventually, in the middle of the discussion, he said to me, "Is this who Jesus is? Did Jesus do all these things? It says here that He calmed a storm and He raised the dead and He healed the sick." He said, "Is this who Jesus is?" And we said, "Well, yes." So why has no one ever told me about this before? And that started a journey for that man of reading the gospel. In that moment, he was impacted by what he read in the Bible. And that led to him being part of our worshipping community for the period of time that he was there. Just because of your past does not mean that God cannot use you in the future.